Hello guys, in yesterday's class we discussed about effect of constant excitation variable load. So load was variable and excitation was constant, that is EB was constant and V phase was constant, and this is EB for various load conditions, whereas ER got changing as I varied the load, beginning from the light load to the heavy load. You can see delta 1 is for light load and delta 3 is for the heavy load. This is how the sequence of load has been increased from delta 1 to delta 3. So due to the increase of the load, what happens? IA gets increased, and due to IA gets increased, then what happens? The product of IA into ZS will also increase. You can see from the beginning here, first delta 1, this is for delta 2 and this is for delta 3. And if I draw a circle at the locus of IA into ZS, it would be somewhat looking like this. Okay. I get a constant excitation circle. That's why it is effect of constant excitation variable load. Now the question arises, till how much I can increase the load, precisely how much I can increase the delta value, right? That we can get it from the graph torque versus load angle delta. Let us see that graph. Okay, here you can see we have plotted torque across load angle delta, that is in electrical, delta is in electrical. You can see that right from the beginning you can say, let us say for a constant excitation, let us say load is being increased slowly. Okay, so when load is increased slowly, you can see that current drawn by the particular motor, synchronous motor, will also increase. Due to that, in order to supply that much of new load, torque of that synchronous motor will also increase as my load increases. Okay, you can increase till here. Okay, then till here, from here to here there is no any problem, that is till 90 degree electrical there is no any problem. After this, if you increase the value of delta from 90 degree and above, then what happens? Your motor will be no more running, it will come out of the synchronism and eventually motor will stop. Okay, you can see the torque is no more if I increase load further above. Now let us see why the synchronous motor loses its synchronism when 90 degree electrical is reached, that is load angle 90 degree electrical is reached. Okay, for that we shall see our previous diagram. Okay, here it is. See, this is what I was trying to say. This delta will increase as you increase the load. You can see before there was a strong magnetic locking between stator pole as well as the rotor pole. As you increase the load, delta will increase. So the force of attraction between stator pole as well as the rotor pole will decrease. These lines will get stretched as you increase the delta. And again, your synchronous motor is having the characteristic of bearing the maximum load till 90 degree. This rotor can be horizontal till that your delta will be close to or equal to 90 degree, till that your motor will survive the synchronism. Even after a small increase in the load or small increase in the delta will cause your motor to stop. Okay, so that is why the reason why your synchronous motor loses its synchronism. It has got the capacity to maintain the synchronism till delta equal to 90 degree. After that, what happens? Motor will eventually what? Loses the synchronism or comes out of synchronism, again motor will stops. So maintain delta not equal to, also better maintain delta less than 90 degree, or even better it as 88 or 89 or something in a decimal, so that delta is never reached to 90 degree. Why? Because the magnetic lines, whatever the force of attraction it is shown here, it is going to what? Weaken and weaken as you increase the load. Okay. Now let us learn about analysis of phasor diagram. Okay, and we know that delta is the load angle and ZS is our synchronous impedance and RA is the armature resistance, whereas XS is synchronous reactance. If I sum up this armature resistance as well as synchronous reactance, I would be getting synchronous impedance. Okay, and what about this theta? Okay, if I write in the rectangle form means I would be getting this. If I write in the polar forms, I would be getting ZS at an angle, mod of ZS at an angle, theta, magnitude as well as angle, phase angle of synchronous impedance. Let us know what exactly is theta is. Okay, delta, hope you understood what delta is. Delta is the load angle and it changes as per your load conditions. Okay, So you can see that theta is called as internal machine angle or impedance angle. Don't just confuse with delta as well as theta. Theta is internal machine angle or impedance angle. And how this theta is formed? Theta is found very simple. As we know that load increases means what happens? The value of Ia will also change, and depending upon the load condition, what happens? Usually we know that synchronous motor is an inductive type of load. So Ia will always lag behind your resultant ER phase per phase. Okay, Ia lags behind your resultant EMF per phase. So that what happens? How much it lags? It lags by at an angle theta degree or theta. And again, usually what happens? Theta will be usually equal to 90 degree. Okay, theta will be usually equal to approximately equal to 90 degree. And remember, theta is the angle between Ia as well as ER phase, and that theta is called as internal machine angle or impedance angle. From the phasor it will be very much clear here. This is one of the load condition here, phasor diagram under normal working load condition. So you can see that V phase, you all know V phase is always constant, and EB phase depending upon the what? Yes, field current IF, because EB per phase is proportional to the flux and flux proportional to the field current. Yes, and what about delta? Delta depends on the load condition, yes or not? Yes, and again I depends upon again load condition. Okay, I depends on again load condition as well as your EB phase also. We shall see that later part. Now you can see that delta you came to know. And what about theta? As I said, theta is the angle between the resultant EMF per phase as well as Ia phase, and this theta will be always or approximately equal to 90 degree. Okay, and what about this phi? Yes, phi is the power factor angle. Okay, total 3 angles are there here. Okay, phi is what? Phi is a power factor angle. Again, power factor angle is measured between what? Applied voltage V phase as well as the current Ia phase. So the angle between V phase and Ia phase is power factor angle phi, and the angle between ER phase as well as Ia phase is internal machine angle theta, whereas the angle between EB phase as well as the reference phase is called as delta. So all three are having different names. Please don't get confused with this. Okay, delta is load angle, theta is internal machine angle, whereas phi is the power factor angle. Okay, so this is what the analysis of phasor diagram for any load condition. Okay, this is general diagram. Again, for different load condition, what happens? That is delta as well as power factor as well as theta gets changed. Now let us see operation of synchronous motor at constant load, variable excitation. In the earlier case, what we did was we were having constant excitation as well as variable load condition, right? In this topic, it is load will be constant, that is delta will be constant, whereas excitation will be changed, that is EB per phase will be changed. Why? Because EB per phase is proportional to the field current as well as field current is proportional to the flux. So your EB phase will change here. Okay, whereas delta will remain constant. Okay, so rather than reading this all, let us jump to the various diagrams over here. So make sure to remember this. Under excitation, that is you'll be getting lagging power factor, and again the EB per phase will be lesser than the applied voltage V phase. Okay, under excitation means, or it is nothing also called as what? De-excitation, right? De-excitation. If IF is less, flux will be less, then EB will be also less. So in this case, what happens? EB will be less than V. And for over excitation, you can see this, the power factor will be leading power factor. Now obviously IF will be greater. Now what happens? You can see EB is greater than the V phase. Okay. In critical excitation, you can call it as unity power factor. So here what happens? EB will be approximately equal to V. Okay. Means we neither increase or decrease. We are going to set the value such a way that power factor will be equal to 1. That is phi will be equal to 0. So that's why cos 0 is 1. So in that case, what happens? EB will be equal to approximately equal to V. Again, for normal excitation, what happens? Again, for normal excitation, remember always it will be a lagging power factor. Phi is never equal to 0. Okay, it will be, you can say the power factor is what will be close to 1. Okay, and here you can see EB is equal to 1. So here EB is exactly equal to the V per phase. Okay. So here we shall see the diagram, and whatever this 1, 2, 3, 4 diagrams are there, these are all with respect to what? constant load as well as variable excitation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let us see the diagram one by one. Okay, I will zoom in for you. You can see here. Remember one thing before getting into this. Remember, V phase is always constant no matter how much I excite or de-excite. V phase is always constant. Okay, and EB phase will change. The length of EB phase will change, and delta is constant. Remember, delta is constant. Why? Because load is constant, and this phi will change. Okay, phi is variable, or you can call it as change. Phi gets change here, whereas theta will be approximately equal to 90 degree. Okay, theta is always approximately equal to 90 degree no matter which diagram I study. Okay, approximately, I don't say exactly, it will be approximately equal to 90 degree. And ER will also change, the length of the ER will also change. Okay, so what remains constant here? Basically your V phase remains constant, delta remains constant, theta will be approximately equal to 90 degree, but phi changes, EB phase length changes, as well as ER length will also change. And again, remember one thing, what constant is, you can see constant line they have drawn, dotted line. That line is called as what? IA cos phi line. That is the product of armature current as well as the power factor. Okay, cos phi. And this line is constant for all the 4 pictures. Okay, for 4 figures it is always constant. And remember one more thing, the V phase is again constant here. Okay. Now let us see the first figure. First figure, what it says, normal excitation. Remember, for normal excitation what happens? EB per phase will be equal to V phase, and again what will be the power factor here? It will be a lagging power factor. You can see V phase is constant, lagging power factor, then obviously what? IA should lag V phase by certain power factor angle phi. True. And what about this ER and IA? They will be having approximately angle 90 degree with respect to each other, and whereas EB phase as well as V phase are approximately equal in lengths or equal in magnitudes, you can say. See, this from O to this as well as from O to V phase, the length is approximately same. So that's why EB phase equal to V phase. Okay. Now next, in the next figure what happens? Under excite. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the field current. If I reduce the field current, then what happens? EB phase will reduce. EB phase will be lesser than V phase. You can see here V phase is of this magnitude, OA length is of V phase, whereas OEB phase, you can see this length when compared to this length it is bit shorter. Why? Because IF I am going to reduce here. Why? The condition is under excitation, but V phase remains constant. Don't forget that. One more thing, what? IA cos phi line will be also constant. What is IA cos phi line exactly? You can see, let us take example for this or this or this. If I apply cos formula for this triangle, okay, this triangle which I'm showing on with the pointer, and this is what? Opposite, and this is the hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent. Okay, so cos phi is equal to what? Adjacent by hypotenuse. So cos phi is equal to what? Adjacent by hypotenuse. What is hypotenuse? Hypotenuse is IA, so cos phi is equal to adjacent divided by IA. If I write in terms of adjacent, means it will be adjacent equal to IA into cos phi. So this length, okay, this length till from this point to this point, it is what? IA cos phi. You can see from this point to this point, it is always same for all the 4 figures. You can see that length is not changed. So that's why product of IA into cos phi, what? Will remain constant. But remember, it's not like IA remains constant as well as power factor angle phi remains constant. That change, but product will be constant. Yes, the product will be constant, but the value of IA as well as cos phi will change. Will change such a manner that if I do product, if I multiply that IA as well as cos phi, that value will be always same. Okay, now you can see here it is under excitation shown here. Under excitation means what happens here? Like I said, EB phase will be lesser than V phase. So if I under excite, then what happens? The flux phi angle will increase. If phi angle will increase, means the power factor will decrease. Yes, both are inversely proportional. Now you can see for this and this, here phi angle was small, but here phi angle is big, means it is greater than this. So the power factor will decrease. Power factor will decrease and becomes more lagging in nature. So IA, you can see from this to this, IA value has got increased. Okay, due to that, what happens if I reduce the power factor, if I reduce the excitation, the IA value will increase.